So the basis of today's question is with regards to self-sabotage through the feelings of frustration and overwhelming. And yet...
We like your choice of words because all sabotage is done by self, and it's not done by those emotions, it's indicated by those emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this weekend for me has been about distraction and finding the feelings, being so desirous for the feelings of love and appreciation, and coming to Chicago, immersing yourself with everyone that you love and finding those moments of highest excitement and accentuating them.
We think that's all really good idea, but we want to remind you that satisfaction is so much easier to find. And if you will just care about being satisfied a little more every day, that's the key. Because from satisfaction, you can get all the way to all of those other. It's like Jerry always said, put your basket out far enough that you can reach it, but not so, in other words, far enough that it thrills you when you do reach it, but not so far that you don't believe you can't. And so that's what we're talking about here. Let satisfaction be the emotion that you're reaching for.
So the saturation of my life experience has created a polar reaction that has taken me down this rabbit hole that I really don't wish to experience.
Because you're too busy?
Anymore. Overwhelmment and frustration. Overwhelmment that there's too much to do, and frustration, too much to do and too little time to do it, and frustration in so much that I don't necessarily have all the skills to just rock this world.
Well,
and it's annoying, but I want to shatter the glass ceiling because
you've chosen, all of you, a very interesting time to be in your physical bodies. First of all, it's the leading edge, and it's what you really wanted. But there is so much information that is available to you. You must become a better sifter. You must become more discerning, which means you must use other criteria other than shatter the glass ceiling or accomplish the goals that you've had for so much of your life. You want to shift them into the goals that will really serve you. And the goal that we are encouraging is the goal of being satisfied now and being satisfied now and being satisfied now. You probably heard the story. We're going to tell it again because we really want to make this point with you. So what is the feeling of satisfaction? Well, let's just start by saying it's being other than unsatisfied. If you can't find what a feeling of satisfaction really feels like, because it isn't quite relief, it's contentment, it's satisfaction, it's the feeling that there's no time crunch, there's not anything that I need to do right now other than what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is just right. It's that feeling. It's that feeling of sort of giving into the moment, not trying to make the moment something that it isn't, not demanding of yourself something that you can't give right now, settling into the moment and letting this moment be all right. It's a feeling of satisfaction. It's a feeling of...
That's challenging.
It's a well, stay with us a little bit and stop arguing for your limitations.
I'm going to be my own superhero like those guys next door.
You're asking too much of yourself.
No, not at all. I'm freaking tapped in and tuned on.
Don't be a superhero. It's too much to ask right now. Just get satisfied. Just be a little satisfied. So Esther's on an airplane, and it's a Delta flight. We know you've heard it. We're going to tell you again. She likes where she's sitting. She likes the elbow room. And she said really loud in her own mind, I am so satisfied. The flight is already in the air. So then she puts her seat back, and it went more than that far. It went that far. Then she thought, I think I'll put my headphones on. So she put her earplugs in, put some nice music on that she likes, took her Delta blanket out of its wrapper and kind of covered herself up in it, got herself just situated in the seat just right, and her legs just to the right, and she, with her neck pillow, and she just sat back and she thought, I am so satisfied. No one is asking anything of me. There's nothing that I need to do other than what I am doing. I can sleep or listen. I'm so satisfied. I'm so satisfied. And she meant it. And then a flight attendant, she had barely closed her eyes, tapped her on the shoulder, and he said, I've warmed this bottle of water for you in the microwave. I thought it might make you more comfortable. And Esther thought, for just a moment, do I look old and feeble? And then she thought, no, I'm radiating how satisfied I am, and everyone in my vibrational vicinity is wanting to get in on the game with me. That really is what happens. When you strike a vibrational pose, the universe at large...
I told you I was going to be my own kind of superhero.
Reaching for fun is good too. But when you strike a vibrational pose, the universe cooperates. When you strike a pose of dissatisfaction, the universe responds to that as well. So it really is just deciding that just because you want to, that Esther, she can get overwhelmed too. She said to someone the other day, I get in that clear space and all these good ideas start flowing to me, and then I engage with a couple of others, and then they start hounding me, and before I know it, I'm overwhelmed with what seemed like a good idea last week that seems like overwhelmment this week. And what we say to her about that, Esther, just be the pointer that you've learned to be. Point in the direction of what satisfies you. And so, what is not satisfying you right now? Just speak something briefly.
It comes back to those feelings. It's the overwhelmment of too much to do, too little time to do it.
All right.
And these are, I very rarely dip beneath optimism. But it's these two feelings that have nailed me for too long now, and I'm done. I want to move on.
Everything is about balance, isn't it? If you have a financial shortage, it's because you're spending more than is coming in. If you have a time crunch, it's because you're asking more of yourself than you believe you can physically do. So you have to find ways of either doing less or finding more efficient ways of doing more, or getting more people to help you. And so when you put together the feeling of overwhelmment and disappointment, are the people that you're asking to help you disappointing you? What are you disappointed about?
At its heart, not being able to deliver as quickly as we need to.
So it's a time shortage.
I'm not willing to sacrifice the quality in context of the delivery.
We hear you, and we hear how particular you are, and we like it, that you've got these strict standards about what you want to produce and how you want to produce it and keeping your commitment and all of that. But we just want to turn your attention to another commitment that you've been willing not to keep, and that's the commitment of being satisfied. When you make yourself crazy, you're not satisfied. And when you bite off more than you can chew, you're not satisfied. And when you beat up on yourself, you're not satisfied. You're the only one who can turn your thoughts in a way that makes them feel more satisfying. And so make some statement that moves you more in the direction of satisfied. Forget about what you came to talk to us about. Forget about the fact that you came to talk about being overwhelmed and being done with that, or being disappointed and being done with that. And let's talk about what you do want, which is being satisfied. We know, you think if we say that word one more time, you're going to... It is the key. If you can break through into a feeling of satisfaction.
I have an undeniable state of passion. I have an undeniable state of commitment.
You could say I'm driven. I've been driven for a long time. And with that desire, with that being driven, we're going to put it to you in a way that we know you can hear it. It might take a minute for it to settle in, but this is what this is all about. And it's true for so many people. You're driven because you have sought understanding from humans rather than from your source, because your source would never drive you. You're driven because you care what other people think. You're driven because you want to look good.
That hurts.
We didn't think you'd like it.
No, not at all.
But stay with us just for a moment.
I've been doctoring this for years. Give me a break.
Are you over your little fit?
Ouch.
We always enjoy playing with you because you always bring the conversation to another place where it hasn't been before, and because we know that you can hear what we're saying. We warned you. We told you weren't going to like it. And we also are telling you that you represent almost every other human on the planet who has been seeking mutuality. When you want to thrive, a lot of it is because you want to be successful, which means to be successful, there needs to be, for most of you who are looking for financial success or success that most humans are seeking, it has something to do with the way you are compared in the world to others. It has something to do with the way others see you.
I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not going about it in terms of comparison to others. I just want to be the best version of myself that I can be.
We want that too, but
I'm being overly critical and over demanding.
This is the piece that we want you to hear.
And I have to soften that in some way, shape, or form.
If you're looking for satisfaction rather than being driven, if you were as driven about wanting to be satisfied as you are about wanting to achieve, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
And that's totally get that.
So it's the desire to achieve that we want to help you soften a little bit. And so what we want you to focus on for a little while achieving is satisfaction. Esther's like you too, in that she used to think, if I can do that, then I should. And if I have the time to do that, then I should. And if I can carve out a place in my schedule for it, then I should do it. Until she felt overwhelmed. When you feel overwhelmed, then you're no good to yourself and you're no good to anyone else. You've got to be willing to give yourself enough opportunities to feel satisfied, and feeling satisfied simply means in alignment with the whole of who you are. It means utilizing this leverage in a new way. Your inner being is so satisfied with you. Your inner being finds you perfect at every level of your being and yet still expanding. Your inner being finds you brilliant and a comprehender. Your inner being finds you someone who has the capacity to do so much. But when your desire to accomplish your capacity outweighs your willingness to strive for your own satisfaction, we're going to reach for some strong statements to get through to you. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Just because somebody wants you to do something doesn't mean it's your obligation to do it. Just because you once said you were going to do it doesn't mean you now have to do it. Because when you get strung out, you're strung out. You got to get tuned into who you are. And tuned in always feels satisfying. It feels satisfying at the easy levels. It feels satisfying at the love levels. It feels satisfying at the appreciation levels. It feels satisfying at the bouncing off the wall enthusiasm levels. Satisfaction always feels good. It just has varying degrees of momentum within it, you see. But when you dip out of satisfaction under the guise or with the quest for accomplishment and making a better person of myself and setting high standards and giving others something to live up to and being a role model, then you get all wonky in your vibration.
Which has been at the detriment to many things, I agree.
The whole purpose, the success that you're striving for, is the success of joy. And joy is just satisfaction with some momentum going on. And so the success that you're looking for really is the success of satisfaction. I intend to be satisfied. I know how to be satisfied. I will be satisfied. I want to be satisfied, satisfied, satisfied. So as you practice it when it's easy, pretty soon you're with someone who has previously annoyed the life out of you, but you've been practicing satisfaction. And you've been satisfied, and you like the way you feel, and you're not giving it up for your old thoughts about this rascal. Just not willing to do it. Just not willing to do it, because satisfied is the key. Satisfied is why you were born. Satisfied is why you came. You came because you are a creator. You are a creator who decides and moves in the direction of and accomplishes. Satisfaction is the key to the very soul of your being. That's who you are. Dissatisfied is bonkers. Dissatisfied is off kilter. Dissatisfied must not be allowed. Dissatisfied is not who you are. It's not what you came for. And yet so many have been dissatisfied about that and that and that and that and that for so long. You don't know what satisfied is. You don't know how to find that on the emotional scale. You've got to pinpoint it. You've got to isolate it. You've got to find it for yourself. You've got to let it be where you start, because you can't jump from disappointment or from overwhelmment into those higher vibrations. You've just got to find something that you feel satisfied about. And unless you're doing that thing you do, you will be satisfied. This time and space has the wherewithal to deliver to you one satisfying experience after another. It does.